Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. And welcome to Sunday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. And I'm going to talk about Doctor Who, the movie. I absolutely love this episode. It's amazing. And actually, I've got the Blu-ray for it. And you know what? If you watch the documentary on there, it's as fascinating as the actual differing opinions to this edition of Doctor Who. First off, I think we can all agree that Paul McGann is an outstanding Doctor. But I'm going to go beyond that. Paul McGann should have been Russell T Davies' first Doctor. Now, Russell did address this and say, I didn't want to show Paul McGann regenerating into Christopher Eccleston. You shouldn't have had to, Russell. He should have been your first port of call. He should have been the Doctor. It doesn't matter that the movie had a mixed response. Yes, I understand that BBC America tried to Americanise Doctor Who, try and make it into a blockbuster Hollywood movie. I understand all of that. A lot of the stuff in that film is very un-Doctor Who. But isn't it amazing? The characterisation of the Doctor is spot on. Spot on. His performance as the Doctor is spot on. I even liked the companion. I thought she was intelligent, interesting. She had very logical reactions. So I really liked her as well. I liked the whole premise. I loved Lee. Now, let's talk about Julia Roberts' brother. What's his name again? The performance as the Master. God, I forgot his name. Never mind. But yeah, let's talk about him, right? A lot of people didn't like the way he performed the Master. I actually thought I again enjoyed it. Is it like any other Master we've seen before? And, you know, he calls himself the Master. But apart from that, because this is an American production, basically, this was a pilot of what was going to be an American TV version of the Doctor. It was still going to be the continuation. Of course it was. Because we even see Sylvester McCoy in this movie. Awesome. The opening bit with the vinyl player and the record getting stuck. Awesome. The GUI Master escaping. Awesome. I know you're not going to agree with me. I actually really like this. The atomic clock. Awesome. The design of the TARDIS. Awesome. I've got to stop saying awesome because this video is going to get very annoying, isn't it? But I just like this. I remember watching it. I remember the trailers for weeks and weeks. And as I say, if you watch the documentary, this is something that never happened. Now, some of you will say, well, thank God for that, Mick. But you know what? Look at all the Big Finish Paul McGann stories we've had. He is a bona fide version of the Doctor. And this is what I love about Stephen Moffat. You can criticise him for so many things. But to bring him back in The Night of the Doctor, show him regenerate into John Hurt, and that stuff with Cass, great. Well written by Moffat. Thank you, Stephen Moffat. You did a great thing for a lot of Doctor Who fans. The fans who thought, really, instead of going forward after Capaldi, we should have went back to McGann. This would have stopped all the negativity we have now. It should certainly have not have been Chris Chibnall to do this. I think Stephen Moffat should have done it. But because so many people seem to despise what Stephen Moffat had done with Doctor Who when we got to season 10, his position was untenable and it seemed like he didn't want to be involved anymore because the atmosphere between him and the fandom was poisonous. Not all of us. I don't think he ran a particularly tight ship or anything, or was a great showrunner. But I respect him as a writer, as a creative, as a man, you know, and he didn't deserve some of the hate he got. Just because you don't like some, you know, this is what geek culture has to understand. And this is why we're getting this toxic fandom thing, you know, thrown at us. There's ways of how you talk to people when you don't like what they do. Because of social media platforms, we have a direct voice to the creatives. Don't waste that voice by being rude, aggressive. You know, just say, listen, Stephen, it's like if you go on his Instagram account, right? Don't be an arsehole. Just say something nice to him. There's no need for you to tell him, oh, I hated what you did. He knows it already. It's done. It's dusted. It's finished. Think of a Doctor Who episode you liked and tell him that. I've had some great responses from Stephen and Russell on there. But why would I go on there attacking Chris Chibnall? It makes no sense. They don't want to hear it anyway. So just be positive. You know, as I say, it's your opportunity to talk to a creative, someone that you really look up to. Don't be horrible. Don't get into arguments. Don't get me wrong on Twitter. I have many, many arguments with blue ticks, and I don't even say anything. It may just be me saying, you know what, I don't agree with you. I don't think representation and creativity and entertainment are the same thing. Yes, representation matters, but don't think for one reason that it's more important than creating a story and developing characters. What's important about representation is you do it. You just do it. You don't talk about it. You don't go on a big mountain and shout it from the rooftops. You just do it. You bring everyone, every creed, every colour, every gender in, right? Even for a Doctor Who audition, right? You say, best person gets the role. End of. That's it. That's what you do. So you want to cast a Doctor, you just get everyone in, and basically you choose the person. It doesn't matter. If there's a good pig that plays a good Doctor, you cast it. That's the way it should be, and that's the conversation of representation. So I've had arguments with creators before, but I don't go in there with a negative beginning. I mean, I follow Kelly Souders, who took over the show, took over Smallville. I mean, totally nothing to do with Doctor Who. And I wasn't happy with the Smallville series finale. I think there was lots of elements I felt betrayed about. I felt genuinely heartbroken after that finale. But I don't go at her. I just say, do you know what, Kelly? I love what you did here. I love what you did there. There's no need for me to be negative. It's done. It's dusted. She isn't going to turn around and say, well, you know what, Mick, you're right. We fucked that one up, didn't we? She knows she fucked up. She knows her and Brian fucked up. I don't need to talk about that. So for me, it's always great to be positive. Here, I'm just honest about my opinion. I can be negative on here if I want, because I'm not talking directly to them. I'm talking directly to my fellow fans. Not my fellow fans, my fellow, geek culture. So I know a lot of fans don't like Doctor Who, the movie, but I just feel if Stephen gave us one season, he would have done an awesome job. Even in The Night of the Doctor, he kind of really got this Doctor, and I really liked it, and he would have been amazing. But honestly, the next Doctor, basically, Russell T Davies' first Doctor should have been Paul McGann, because Paul did absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, every Whoever I talk to, every Doctor Who fan I talk to says, Mick, the film was pants, I hated it, but McGann is the Doctor. So he should have been RTD's first Doctor, and I think it was a bit brutal not to do that. Now, obviously, he had a different idea, but what to do with Doctor Who, and it was successful, and I love it. But at the end of the day, he could have done all of that with Paul's Doctor, So let's not pretend here. It still would have worked, and then you could have brought in Eccleston later and Tennant later. Still would have been amazing. But yes, even though Doctor Who the movie has many, many flaws and many, many issues, do you know what? If you watch it as a piece of entertainment, it's actually fantastic.